KHOU 11 News at 6 starts now.
A wild shootout during a party filled with teenagers. Why an officer was forced to open fire.
The rodeo officially rides into town. We've got you covered with all of the day's big events. But we begin with a deadly shooting in southeast Harris County.
We're told a man was found dead in a car in the middle of a neighborhood. Tim Wetzel joins us live on the scene with details. Tim, what do you know?
Well, Reka, police have surrounded this quiet cul-de-sac after a man was shot and killed inside a parked car. According to police, a passenger in the back seat shot the passenger in the front seat. The people in the back then took off running, they say. Police are looking for them as we speak. The driver did stay behind and is talking to investigators. It's not clear what these folks were doing just sitting in a parked car. Also, police aren't even sure at this point if the shooting was intentional or some sort of bizarre accident involving a gun. This all happened around 1:45 in the middle of the afternoon. Plenty of people were outside, including a door-to-door salesman who was working just yards away from where the bullet went flying.
I just walked down the street going, what's going on? And when I got here, I could kind of see a body hanging outside of a car.
There were multiple occupants sitting in the gray Impala, and apparently, either accidentally or for reasons unknown, one of the passengers in the back seat shot the front right passenger.
And if you look closely at that vehicle, you can see where the bullet blew out the back window. Neighbors say they haven't seen this car before, so they think the people involved are possibly from somewhere else. At this point, police haven't released any information on the victim. We're live here in Southeast Houston. Tim Wetzel, KHOU 11 News.
Now to new details on that wild shootout at a teenage party in Stafford. A police officer opened fire after investigators say a suspect walked in and started shooting. It happened last night at the Palms Banquet Hall on FM 1092. Fort Bend Sheriff's investigators say a group of teenagers were having a party that had been organized on Twitter when someone walked in and opened fire. A Missouri City police officer who was working security for the event returned fire. Deputies say no one was hurt, but kept dozens of teenagers on scene several hours trying to figure out who the gunman is. He's still on the loose tonight.
Authorities say they are working overtime to solve the murders of a Chinese-American family in Cyprus. Today, Houston Police and the Harris County Sheriff's Office held a town hall meeting for Houston's Chinese-American community. They wanted to assure them they are safe and encourage them to keep their ears and eyes open for possible clues into the killings.
You have to get involved. You cannot remain isolated in your community or within your street. You got to know who your neighbors are.
Mao Yusoon and his wife and two young sons were found shot to death in their home on January 30th. So far, investigators say they have no leads in this case.
The rodeo officially rode into town in this morning's big parade. You know, that continued a tradition started way back in 1938.
It sure did, and cowboys and cowgirls of all ages took over downtown. Thousands lined the streets as marching bands accompanied the beat of horse hooves. It was a celebration of Western heritage with Mayor Parker riding high.
Great crowd, great parade. The whole rodeo experience is good for Houston. From the volunteers to the money generated for the economy to the money for scholarships. All good. Who taught you to ride? I grew up here. I grew up riding horses. Parades are always better on a horse.
Yeah, she's a pro. Okay, the Grand Marshal of the parade was Staff Sergeant Ty Carter, a Medal of Honor recipient. We'll hear more from him and other parade goers tonight at 10.
And we have dozens of pictures from today's parade at KHOU.com. You just want to click on the slideshow on the homepage. Then you can also send us your pictures on Twitter using the hashtag KHOU Rodeo.
And before heading out to enjoy that barbecue, thousands participated in the 27th annual ConocoPhillips Rodeo Run. This morning's event raised $400,000 for rodeo scholarships. 13,000 runners and walkers took part in the 10K and 5K events downtown.
And after a good run, fans headed over to Reliant Park for the barbecue cook-off. Today is the final day before awards are handed out. 300 teams are vying for the title of Best Barbecue. We'll bring you the results tonight at 10.
And while some are having fun at Reliant Park, another crowd gearing up for a Mardi Gras party.
The largest parade of them all, the Knights of Monmouth, is getting ready to roll.
Yeah, Jacqueline Crea joins us live on the seawall with more. Jacqueline, people are ready for this big party, huh?
Hi guys, I can barely hear you, but as you can see, the 103rd Galveston Mardi Gras Parade is in full swing. Now, I wasn't even here for 5 minutes, and I got plenty of beads. So let me tell you, everybody else is preparing for the big parade that's coming up. Thousands of people fill the streets in Galveston on the Strand for weekend 2 of the Mardi Gras celebration. Lots of bead throwing, of course, and colorful costumes. Plenty of food and booze and live music, but it's not just for adults. Kids are having a good time too, dancing away. The celebration is a long-time tradition for many.
Atmosphere,
all the people watching, the beads,
all the craziness.
It's a lot of fun. We're having a great time. The parade coming by every year, yes. Just love to come down and enjoy it.
The big parade, the Knights of Momus Grand Night Parade, kicks off at 6:30. Now, a lot of people are looking forward to that big parade in just half an hour, and of course, more partying will continue, as you can tell. So we'll check back with you guys in just a few minutes. Reporting live in Galveston, Jacqueline Craig, KHOU 11 News.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Bring us back some beads,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Well, with all these big events going on outside, Mario, what can people expect weather-wise?
Well, you know what? You just saw it. Probably some of the nicest weather in town for any events here in the city. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful night down there on Galveston. Take a look at the temperatures, conditions out there. Mardi Gras continues. Temperatures should be in the 60s. We may see a little bit of fog develop across the area. It's tomorrow, late tomorrow, after all the events are over, that we may see some thunderstorms. But what a beautiful view, as you just saw in our live shot. 63 degrees in Moody Gardens. Here's what it looks like. The other big event, let's not forget the big barbecue cook-off tonight. It is 73, our shot from Reliance Stadium. And you can see for the evening, things are looking very nice. Temperatures very mild in the mid-70s. Spring-like tomorrow, spring-like thunderstorms. We'll talk about the possibility of some severe weather coming to town coming up in just a few minutes. Rucks?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Now to a developing story the whole world is watching.
Despite a warning from President Obama, the Russian military has invaded Ukraine, seizing Crimea. And now, as Allison Armelin reports, the U.S. is weighing its options.
Pro-Russian demonstrators stormed an administration building in the southern Ukraine after Russia's President Vladimir Putin got the green light from Parliament Saturday to proceed with military intervention. Russian troops have already taken over the Crimea Peninsula in the south. In the Ukraine's Russian-speaking east, protesters raised Russian flags and clashed with the newly elected Ukrainian government. While U.S. officials have stopped short of calling Putin's actions an outright invasion, Russia has flown thousands of troops to the region, rebuffing Western leaders who have urged Russia not to intervene. Members of the UN Security Council gathered here for an emergency meeting to address the rapidly deteriorating situation in the Slavic nation of 46 million people.
The Secretary General reiterates his call for the full respect for and preservation of the independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of Ukraine.
President Obama has already warned that, quote, there will be costs for Russian military intervention. And while a Kremlin spokesperson says that President Putin has not yet decided to use force, the Ukrainian government has now put its armed forces on full combat alert. Allison Harmelin, KHOU 11 News.
Coming up, the search for a hit-and-run driver who hit a woman in a local club parking lot.
And why the Justice Department is now asking questions in the death of a Jasper man.
2 people are in the hospital after separate incidences of getting hit by cars overnight. The first happened around midnight in southeast Houston at the Stop and Stay Club on Park Place in Poplar. Police are searching for a driver who backed over a woman in the parking lot and then took off. She was taken to the hospital with a broken leg. Investigators don't know if it was intentional or an accident.
Then near Midtown around 2 a.m., a woman hit a man as he ran across 2M and Brazos. We're told the man smashed into her windshield and was taken to the hospital in serious condition. The driver will not face any charges because she waited for police. Officers suspect the man was intoxicated.
With the Texas primary only 3 days away, the state's senior senator is fighting to keep his seat in Congress. John Cornyn campaigned at the Sosa Community Center in northwest Houston. Now he's facing Tea Party-backed Representative Steve Stockman for the Republican nomination. Cornyn had been hoping for an endorsement from Tea Party favorite Ted Cruz. But Cruz said this week he wasn't endorsing either candidate.
Still to come, dangerous mudslides lead to mandatory evacuations in California. Mario is tracking how this mess is headed to Houston.
And a Texas family's plea for answers reaches the Department of Justice.
Plus, the party continues on the coast. Check this out. We are live from Mardi Gras in Galveston. Next. The Justice Department is investigating the death of a Jasper man.
Yeah, the body of Alfred Wright was found mutilated after he'd been missing for nearly 3 weeks. Now, the autopsy ruled his death an accident and authorities say it was drug-related. But searchers found him with his throat slit, missing his eyes and an ear back in November. His family believes he was murdered and his death was a cover-up. The Justice Department says they took on the case after Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee's request. Wright's family wants the Sabine County Sheriff Thomas Maddox investigated.
China is reeling after a horrific terror attack. A group of men armed with knives attacked a train station in southwestern China, killing at least 27 people. More than 100 others were wounded. All of the attackers were dressed in black. 5 were shot by police, but several others got away. This particular city has no history of violent attacks, and a motive for the stabbings isn't clear.
Now to more rain causing major problems along the West Coast. Parts of Southern California are trying to clean up after massive mudslides there. And the storm is only expected to get worse as it moves inland and heads towards Texas. Terry Akita has the latest.
Dennis Sanderson is in mop-up mode. What are you going to do today?
Just going to pump out the water on top.
Backflow of water and debris streamed into his yard from his next-door neighbor, Ed Heinlen's property. Friday's downpours left Heinlen's backyard deep in mud, with a sizable cleanup job ahead. Residents living in these foothills east of Los Angeles have been hit with a 1-2 punch. They evacuated last January during a wildfire, which left the hills scorched and barren, and were ordered to leave once again during Friday's powerful Pacific storm. Southern California will get a measurable amount of rain, though not as heavy as Friday. Forecasters say the threat of mudslides could last through the night. The storm brought down some trees and churned up huge waves on Redondo Beach.
Big rolling waves, and they're breaking far from shore.
These waves got close to coastal homes, ripping the deck off one house. Some areas have received up to 9 inches of much-needed rain, but it's still not enough to put a dent in one of the worst droughts in California's history. The National Weather Service calls this a rogue storm, and California will dry out next week. Terry Okita, KHOU 11 News.
Pretty wet out there, and that storm system is headed our way.
Yeah, Mario, what can we expect?
Well, a piece of that storm is definitely going to move across the southwest overnight and through the early part of Sunday. And then by the afternoon tomorrow, we will see a round of thunder showers kicked off in part by part of that storm system, as well as a frontal boundary that'll be dragging some much colder air here into the metro area. You can see the storm, how it's wrapped up. The low pressure center is almost as deep as a Category 2 hurricane as it kind of sweeps into the portion of California that is now seeing some still very heavy rain. Southern California, especially L.A., is still seeing flood warnings and flood watches across this area. Look at this rain. Hardly see this in Los Angeles, but the rain is really coming in heavy. Another 3 to 10 inches of rain is possible. The mountains getting most of that. And in the lower elevations, we could see as much as 3 inches in L.A. this afternoon or this evening into tomorrow. Pretty nice evening for Houston, though. Thunder showers will come our way tomorrow afternoon. A few of these could be severe, so you want to stay with Channel 11 through the course of the afternoon tomorrow. The likelihood that we could see some severe weather tomorrow is slight, but areas north and northwest of Houston, particularly around College Station and Huntsville and around Lake Livingston, could see some very large thunderstorms that could produce some brief hail, some small hail, and likely some gusty winds. So we'll be watching for this. Our future track bears that out. If you look very carefully, you might see a little misty rain here tonight and tomorrow morning, along with some fog developing. And then look towards tomorrow afternoon around the areas of the Brazos River Valley. That is a squall line heading right towards the Houston area later on in the afternoon. That's about 4 o'clock. By 8 o'clock in the evening, that line of thunderstorms looks like it gets much diminished, but still there's a few severe thunderstorm cells that could pop up between the areas just north, between Cleveland, Conroe, and the Houston metro area. So we'll be watching for that. That storm cloud continues to move south across the area. We're still seeing severe weather likely possible across the Sabine River Pass in far east, northeast portions of our viewing area. So we'll be watching this very carefully tonight. It's a very muggy evening, kind of the setup before the storm, if you will. We're going to see misty rain, some fog, and these areas, as we said, could see very stormy weather tomorrow. It's going to cool things down. Today, we saw 80-degree weather. Can you believe that? The temperatures here in Houston hit 83, 1 degree of tying a record. Tomorrow, because of the storms around Houston, we're going to see much less rainfall or much cooler temperatures, and looks like we're still going to see muggy conditions, readings mostly in the 70s, upper 70s across the area. That's what we're seeing in South Texas now, a round of very warm, muggy weather, kind of pre-spring-like weather. But look what comes in, more winter time across the area and very windy conditions, very blustery through the day. On Monday, these temperatures will produce extremely cold weather around the Houston area. You can see North Texas will see that impact. Numbers as cold as the 20s and 40s in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. A complete changeover from the 80-degree temperatures we saw in this part of the state today. So here's the forecast. You can see pretty big changes occurring in the Houston area from Sunday to Monday. It looks like we're almost swapped seasons there from springtime to winter. Yes, those are 30s. That's almost a 50-degree drop from Sunday to Monday morning and Tuesday morning. And then rainfall comes back. Very damp, very dreary, very overcast with showers Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But we're ramping things up again for the rodeo. By next weekend, hopefully we'll be able to make up for the bad rodeo start with stormy weather Sunday. It's going to be very stormy tomorrow, so watch out for that.
Okay, so what I figured out is don't wash my car, have a jacket and a pair of shorts handy, and
all of
flip-flops,
that.
everything.
Yeah, it's been very hard to pretty much decide what's going to happen from day to day, what to wear in the morning, but we're going to tell you every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay? Thanks for keeping us informed.
All right, now let's head back to that big party on the coast. The second weekend of Mardi Gras has been in full swing all day, and now people are lining up on the seawall for tonight's big parade.
Yeah, you can see that. They are sure excited. Jacqueline Crea is down there. Jacqueline, can you hear us?
Cue me. Hey guys, I can barely hear you, but I am standing in the middle of the 103rd Galveston Mardi Gras celebration. It's a lot of fun. I'm standing kind of in the line of fire right now. People are competing to get beads. I have plenty, so I'm good for that. We are having a great time out of here. Thousands of people are standing in the Strand for this celebration. And in just a few minutes, we are expecting the big parade, the kind of grand finale of this weekend celebration. Meanwhile, lots of people are celebrating in costume, very colorful, throwing beads. And you know, it's not just for adults. Lots of families and children having fun too. Of course, we're going to bring you more of this tonight at 10. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, Jackie. Plenty of high school basketball action today to get to. Daniel will have highlights coming up next.
Time for Dan with sports. Dan, a lot of high school basketball teams punching their tickets to state.
Yeah,
right?
Dreams coming true this weekend. That's right. Always a fun time of year. Regional final weekend for several basketball teams in the area. We start with North Shore and Fort Bend. Bush, shot of the day. Closing seconds of the first half, tied at 30. Jalen Hart for the Mustangs recovers a deflected pass, heaves it towards the basket, and he nails the shot as he's falling out of bounds. The problem was it didn't count. They should have given it to him just for effort. Second half, Broncos go out in front when Brendan Ganaway dishes it to his man down low, who gives Bush a 53-51 lead. But North Shore made the plays down the stretch. Here's Hart again, driving the lane, gets it to go, and the foul. Mustangs go on to win it 60-58 as they're headed to Austin for the state tournament.
I really believe this team is as good as any team in the state of Texas. We've been saying that all year long, but I told the kids they have to prove it. Right now we're 33-3. Not by accident. We've proven that we can play with any and everybody. So we're expecting to go win it.
It's a weight off your shoulders when we win the close games, especially one that's a regional final.
Congratulations to them. Up in Huntsville, Yates and Navasota going at it. Melvin Swift for the Lions with the throwdown early. Yates led 24-23. Then later, more from the pride of the Third Ward. Swift misses the jam but tracks it down. Back to J.C. Washington with the highlight reel. Yates headed back to state as well. They win it 103-86. On the scoreboard, Marshall trails Beaumont Central 53-50. That's in the fourth quarter, and Atascocita leading Allen 10-7. That is in the first quarter up in Waco. Last night, the Lady Mavericks from Manville got one step closer to claiming a state title. Brian Harris and his talented team took down Plano West 69-38, setting up the highly anticipated showdown with powerhouse Duncanville. Earlier this year, Duncanville beat Manville 55-50, one of only 2 losses for the Mavericks this year, and they'll be ready to get after it tonight. Scheduled time at 8:30.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be a really competitive game. They have really good players. We do too. And I think if we control the board and stop their key players, we have a really good shot.
We've been working all year for this, and, you know, I tell them all the time, you know, you got to have the want to finish.
Good luck to them. College basketball action, second to last weekend of conference play. Number 24 Texas up in Norman to face Oklahoma, and the Sooners were ready for Bevo. Isaiah Cousins led the way for Oklahoma, scoring 24 points. Bush product Cameron Ridley had a nice game with 19, but the Horns, it wasn't enough for them. Sooners win at 77-65. Big win as those teams continue to fight for positioning in the Big 12. Elsewhere around the state, Baylor tops Texas Tech 59-49. Texas A&M hosts Ole Miss tonight up in College Station. Rice and Texas Southern also in action this evening. On the diamond, the Astros handed their first loss of the spring today, falling to Detroit 5-1. They're back on the field tomorrow. It's split squad action. I can't say that too fast. Against the Braves. Here in town, the Minute Maid College Classic continued. Houston and Texas, always a fun matchup. Second inning, Landon Appling with the infield single to the left. That scores Connor Grayson, who led off the inning with the double. UT, though, leads it 3-1. That game's in the 7th inning. That's it for sports.
Thanks, Dan. Nice tie, by the way.
Appreciate the purple's nice.
Yeah, you guys are very festive today. Well, for those who are heading out tonight, Mario, a quick look at weather.
Perfect for Mardi Gras, and the weather is great for Knights of Momo's parade tonight. Lots of stuff happening also on the Strand, as you can see. The weather forecast also for tomorrow, well, a little different story. Things are going to be pretty stormy tomorrow for the Children's Parade, and here in Houston, we're going to start off with 65 degrees by the afternoon, a spring-like mid-70s, and then the storms roll in. Again, some of those storms, by the way, could be severe. You may want to check with us throughout the day tomorrow. We're going to be tracking the severe weather here at KHOU, and also you can also go to our Facebook page to find out what's happening here in town.
All right. Thank you very much. And I guess, are we going to take another live shot of Mardi Gras? All right. Okay. Take a look at this, guys. We wanted to show you the party. This is out in Galveston. People getting ready for the big parade. About to kick off any minute now, right?
That's where the real fun is. You know, I've been down there in years past. I've never seen a crowd quite that large.
It always gets bigger every year. Hey, we should be out there. Okay. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you at 10.
Take care.